I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, I want to share with you a sad, tragic story. When it comes to true crime, all of these stories are tragic, right? This one is another one. White neighbor shoots black neighbor after a 2 year dispute. And of course, a lot of people are hitting on the fact that the lady who shot one is a white lady, and the lady who was shot was a black lady. But worse yet, allegedly, she had problems with neighborhood kids playing around her home. And this time, I guess it went too far. And now she's trying to use stand your ground law in Florida because that's where this happened. Let's dive into this ugly case and share with you what we know at this time. But I will share this young lady deserves justice because what we're learning, this should not have ever happened. Let's dive into the story, why don't we? A white Florida woman who has been finally arrested for shooting dead her black neighbor through her front door while confronting her after a bitter 2 year dispute over her children playing outside. Now, what we do know at this time, this is still a developing story. But Susan Lorincz, 58 years old, she's accused of killing Ajika AJ Owens in front of her 10-year-old son after the mother of four went to confront her over attacking her kids on Friday of this past week. Now, Susan, she has finally been arrested after a lot of people up in arms as to why she hadn't been arrested. And she was finally charged this past Tuesday. Now listen to the charges. She's been charged with manslaughter with firearm, culpable negligence, battery, and 2 counts of assault. That's what the Marion County Sheriff's Office. What is missing out of those charges? There is no charge of murder in there. Now, does that mean that she may not eventually get charged with murder? Absolutely not. Sometimes they are trying to just get a charge that a prosecutor can sign off on to get her behind bars. And truth is, her life might have been at risk out there because a lot of people were beyond upset, and I do not blame them. This young mother of four, Ajika Owens, she was only 35 years old, and she had reportedly marched up to Lorintz's front porch to bang on her door after her kids told her that the older woman had hurled a roller skate at one of them and swung an umbrella at another. Lorincz allegedly shot Owens through the front door. She was taken to a hospital where she died of her injuries. Rest in peace, Ajika Owens, taken from this world way too soon. 35 years old, 4 young children. And the youngest one was 5 years old. And the 5-year-old is the one who is said to have gotten hit in the toe. He was said to have, we don't know if she intentionally threw it to hit him or if it was like, get this out of here, and it hit him in the foot. The 12-year-old, backing his brother up, goes to Susan's house, banging on the door, and then to no suffice, right? And then he goes back and tells his mom what has happened. And so that's where we're finding out that that's when the mom went to confront her. And that's when she's banging on the door. She wants her to come out here so we can talk about this. Suzanne, she says, "You're knocking on my door." She just shoots through the door. In a video that was posted by the sheriff's office following her arrest, Lorincz was seen hanging her head as she was walked with her hands cuffed behind her back after she was finally arrested. Now, the justice, Sheriff Billy Woods, he shared, the justice we have all been seeking has been served. That's what he shared a couple days ago in a press conference. It follows public pressure on police to take action over the killing after authorities first said they had to take time to determine what role Florida's Stand Your Ground law might play in this incident. As I shared, that is a law that we had known since George Zimmerman got away with murder pretty much in a Stand Your Ground case. And ever since then, that has always been in the spotlight when it comes to Stand Your Ground defense. Now, authorities, they had came under pressure about not arresting her and charging Lorincz. And then finally you had this charge and she was finally arrested in this case that has put Florida's divisive Stand Your Ground law back into the spotlight. You see, Woods said that this was not a Stand Your Ground case, but simply a killing. Now, when interviewed, Lorincz claimed that she acted in self-defense and that Miss Owens had been trying to break down her door prior to her discharging her firearm. She could be heard in the 911 saying exactly that. Now, there's a good chance she's protecting her kids. She wants to know what happened and why is my son saying you hit him with a roller skating wheel, right? Any mom would do that. Now, she says she acted in self-defense because she's banging down my door. She also claimed that Miss Owens had come after her in the past and had previously attacked her. Through their investigation, including obtaining the statements of eyewitnesses, detectives were able to establish that Lorintz's actions were not justifiable under Florida law. That's what a statement from the sheriff's office said. About 36 mostly black protesters gathered outside the Marion County Judicial Center to demand that the shooter be arrested in the country's latest flashpoint over race and gun violence. Now, the chief prosecutor in this case, State Attorney William Gladson, he met with the protesters and he urged them to be patient while they are investigating this case. They were not disowning the fact that she should be arrested. They're just saying, give us a little time to get more information. They had to figure out, like, we have to make sure that this Stand Your Ground will not be relevant in this case and that we can automatically disown that. You can see a patched up hole in the door that was shot through that took the life of the mother of 4. Now, this is where it's like, when you really stop and you think about it, you only want justice and you want it to be done in the right manner. Let's be real. Any mother would do this. Any mother. Now, the chief prosecutor, William Gladson, he said, if we are going to make a case, we need as much time and as much evidence as possible. I don't want to compromise any criminal investigation, and I'm not going to do that. Now, the initial altercation is believed to have started when Miss Owens' children were playing in a field near an apartment complex in Ocala, Florida on Friday of last week. Today, June 8th. So we're talking about last Friday when this all occurred on June 2nd. And so that's when this occurred. And so this happened near an apartment complex on Friday when Lorincz began yelling at them to get off her land and calling them racial slurs. Now, again, we were not there, but that's what the renowned civil rights attorney and the Owens family lawyer, Ben Crump, said. We don't know, we were not there. The only thing I do know is that this mom should still be here to argue with her another day. There's nothing that can ever bring it in my head unless Miss Owens had a gun, which there is no signs, or Miss Owens was threatening to kill her. There's no signs of any of that. So there is no reason that this lady should have lost her life, this young mother of four. And you can see how close of neighbors they were. They lived basically across the street from one another. The children are said to have accidentally left an iPad behind after leaving the field, although police said it was a pair of skates before going back to fetch it. That's what the family lawyer, Ben Crump, has shared. That's what he's explaining. Now, according to police, Lorincz engaged in an argument with the children that was overheard by a neighbor. And the neighbor shares that during this argument, Lorincz threw a roller skate at Miss Owens' 10-year-old son, striking the child in the toe. I stand corrected. I believe I said earlier 5 years old. My apologies. I was wrong about that. It's 10. My notes say one thing and my mind sometimes remembers another. Now, after this, when the child and his 12-year-old brother went to speak to Lorincz, she opened the door and swung at them with an umbrella. You see how they would only think that this lady is whacked out crazy? Again, we can only share what we know at this time. Now, marching up to Lorintz's home, it's alleged that Miss Owens approached her door and knocked multiple times and demanded that Lorincz come outside. That's normal. That's natural. That's expected. Police say that this is when Lorincz fired one shot through the door, striking Miss Owens in her upper chest. She later died at the hospital from her injuries. Her family is devastated. The community is devastated. I'm devastated. This should not have happened. Now, one of the worst parts yet is that at the time that she was shot, it is said that her 10-year-old son was standing beside her. And Woods had said Monday that detectives were working with the state attorney's office and must investigate possible self-defense claims before they could move forward with any possible criminal charges. And the sheriff, he pointed out that because of the stand your ground law, he can't legally make an arrest unless he can prove the shooter did not act in self-defense. Because under Florida's stand your ground law, people are essentially permitted to use deadly force if they feel their lives are in danger. And that's where some people try to use it in their defense to say, I acted in self-defense. But that is not always the case, is it? So it's key to understand when it is okay. There are some cases where you can use stand your ground. Someone breaks into your home, you best believe you can kill them. Someone's on your property threatening you. You feel like your life is definitely about to be taken. That's a different story. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not gonna even play like one. But police, they did confirm that through their investigation and eyewitness testimony, they were able to establish that Lorintz's actions were not justifiable under Florida law. And subsequently, they arrest her. And a GoFundMe page has been set up for Miss Owens' family, helping to support funeral and memorial costs, the children's education, housing and living expenses for the family. So far, close to $120,000 has been raised in support to the bereaved family, with a target of $500,000. An up-to-date goal, as I am looking at the GoFundMe, it looks like, let's see, I will share that with you. I pressed the wrong button there. And you can see that it looks like they've raised $260,000 so far over. And the goal is up to $1 million. And, you know, what happened to Ajika? They share right here on Friday, June 2nd. Ajika AJ Owens, a devoted and loving mother of four, was tragically and unjustifiably murdered in an attempt to protect her children from racism and violence. Now, you always got to take everything with a grain of salt. We don't know everything. But we do know that there are 4 kids tragically left without their mother. And to be completely honest with you, for no good reason. And you can even see justice for AJ and so many others, the fight to end Stand Your Ground. In 2023, we witnessed the shooting of Ralph Yarl and the killing of Kaylin Gillis as instances where the Stand Your Ground doctrine has emboldened individuals to use unnecessary violent force in the name of self-defense. This is yet another instance where the law could potentially come into play and erode justice. AJ's family has partnered with activists and national advocacy groups to effect change on a national scale. Now, I will share, I don't understand all of that. I don't. Because isn't there the case where, or is it just in Florida, you don't have to be in your home and you stand your ground? I don't understand. Because I believe that a home invasion, if someone is out to kill me, and no matter what state I'm in, I can kill that person and get away with it. Like, that's a stand your ground, isn't it? So I'm confused on a lot of these. I'm not going to play like I completely understand all of it, because you know what? I do not. The one thing I do understand is that a mother of 4 has been taken from this world way too soon. And from what I'm learning, for no good reason at all. And so, continuing our story, this is the sheriff's department. He gives a statement and he shares about why they had to be particular about, is this a stand your ground defense? And so we're going to continue to learn more after this devoted mother of 4 was taken from this world way too soon. Now, something that we are also finding out about this neighbor. You see, neighbors of the white insurance agent, 58 years old, who shot dead the black mom of 4, they branded her as a Karen who would record their kids and wave guns at them when they played in the yard. My question is, were there a bunch of other 911 calls about her in the past? I would think that if she was waving guns in the air, there has to be other 911 calls about this. The insurance agent, Lorincz, she told police during her interview that Owens' children had been trespassing on her property in Ocala, Florida, before shooting their mother on Friday. And neighbors of Lorincz claimed that she had a problem with kids and would record them before taunting them with slurs, as well as waving her guns around in their direction. You see, one person, Phyllis Wills, she told NBC that Lorincz would harass her kids, adding, "Everybody in this neighborhood had feuded with this lady over our children." So that sounds like maybe she hates children more than having anything to do with race. I mean, that almost sounds like maybe she's just an angry old lady who hates children. I know that happens out there. When I worked in the bank, I could literally remember I was like a 21-year-old kid working in the bank, and this older man, I'm going to have to guess his age, maybe over 80. He was a bitter man. And he would come in. He literally referred to me as a snot-nosed brat for no reason. I gave him the best service I could think of, and he was like that with all of the tellers. They were called tellers back then. Now it's, I don't know, customer service rep. But that's how he would treat us, right? He was an angry man, but after they had a talk with him, he did change his tune. But, you do have people out there that are just like, they don't care. They reach a certain age, they don't care. They're going to say what they think. What do they have to lose? Maybe that's the case here. Maybe she was tired of all of these kids. We can only speculate at this time because we don't know the motive of all of this. We don't know if this will turn up to be a second-degree murder charge. That is very well could possibly be. So we don't know what will come of these charges. And so the bottom line is Ajika AJ Owens, she deserved justice after she was struck by a single bullet to her chest in front of her 10-year-old son after confronting her neighbor. Now, so you got to stop and think about that. Even witnesses, neighbors are talking about this. Locals told police that Lorincz was upset by kids being kids, and they didn't understand why before admitting that they heard allegations she made racial slurs at the children. Again, allegations right now. Other parents said that they called her a Karen after she repeatedly filmed their children and called the police about their antics. Oh my gosh, they're filming me. Things like that, right? So there's definitely phone calls in this. And that neighbor, Will, said it's an apartment complex. There are children who, they're gonna do things. Every time they've went even in the patch of grass over there, she would be like, "Get off my lawn, you stuff," or you different slurs that can hurt a person's feelings. And so that's why it was like, she was on borrowed time while she was out because they were going to find a way to arrest her if she was guilty. And so far, it does not look good for her. Why would she be recording the children every time that they came outside? She would get in her truck and blast the radio as loud as she could to agitate the kids. That's what neighbors are speaking up about when it comes to this lady. And so when she was interviewed, she advised that neighbors were outside screaming and yelling, kids were running around, and stated she had a headache. She advised she went inside and laid down and later got up and went outside and observed the 3 boys outside, referring to the young ones that we are discussing in this. And so she goes outside and she sees the 3 boys and she says she told the juveniles they were trespassing and needed to leave. And, she clarified where the juveniles were when she said that she came outside. She indicated they were not on her patio, but on the grass of the yard, separating 2 quadruplex buildings. And she advised that the juveniles said they were going to tell their mom, and she stated she told them to go tell their mom. And so she advised that she has been having a problem with the same juveniles for approximately 2 years due to their lack of respect for her peace and privacy. And she said that the children of the victim, Owens, have told her in the past that they would kill her. Again, her words. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I do not believe that one bit. By all accounts, these were kids being kids. Yes, there are some crazy kids. I'm not going to act like there's not some crazy kids out there anymore. But I'm going to tell you that these kids were not threatening this lady. I'm going to tell you straight up, this lady, even though I know I wasn't there, but I truly believe there's no way that these juveniles were threatening this lady's life. So I'm going to call her on her bluff right out of the gate right there. But that's what she said. She said that they had threatened her. And she even referenced an incident that happened in February of 2022 that is documented, in which she said that the victim came to her residence and confronted her about a verbal argument between Lorincz and, again, the victim's children. The argument is centered around Lorincz not liking the juveniles around her apartment. Again, same scenario. And according to that incident that was prepared about that prior case, she alleged that Owens ripped a metal no trespassing sign out of the ground and threw it toward her, striking her leg. And the report indicates that the victim stated that she threw the sign down as she was leaving but did not throw it toward Lorincz. No arrests were made in that case. And Lorincz, she advised that on the night of the shooting, after she told the juveniles to leave, they went home, and then all of a sudden, the victim came to her door and started banging on the door while yelling, "I'm going to effing kill you." Now, remind you, there are some witnesses. No one is corroborating that side of the story, that she was threatening her while she was banging at her door. No one has verified that statement. But that is what Susan Lorincz is saying. That's what happened. And she said that Owens banged on the door so hard everything started shaking, and she thought the door was going to come off. My friends, is that the Incredible Hulk she's describing or what? I'm just not buying that. Come on, your whole house is shaking? My gosh. Come on, that sounds like an earthquake. Your whole house is shaking? My land. But that is her side of the story, and she will get her side to share in. But right now, I'm going to tell you straight up, because I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. So she advised that she banged on the door and everything started shaking, and she thought the door was going to come off. She says that she panicked and stated to herself, oh my gosh, she's going to kill me this time. Really? You're such an angry lady that you're going to be freaking harassing all these kids, and then now someone's banging on your door and you're thinking, oh my God, my life's now in danger? Come on. This is not holding up to any water at all. But that's her version of events. And that's when she says she fired one round from her handgun. You know, again, witnesses say that other neighbors say she's been seen waving this gun around. Again, two sides to every story. I'm going to just tell you, I don't believe a lot of what Susan is saying to get her defense ready. Okay, this is just how it goes. But she stated that she retrieves the firearm from the trash can in her bedroom where she normally stores the weapon. Now, she advises that while beating on her door, the victim was yelling, "You don't talk to my sons, I'm going to effing kill you." Now, I can imagine don't talk to my sons, and I can imagine I'm going to effing kill you. I don't know, people do say that stuff out of anger. But come on, with her hands, she's going to beat her with her hands? So, again, two sides. I'm sharing with you her side while I'm giving my thoughts. And so that's what she is saying that the victim said. And Lorincz advised that the victim briefly stopped banging on the door before starting again. And she says that the victim was trying to, mess with the door handle and trying to enter the residence, to which she responded she was trying as hard as she could. Referencing the victim trying as hard as she could to get inside. And that's when she advised she fired one shot from the handgun. And that's what, she's sharing that she was just beating the door down. She advised that she yells back through the door that the victim was trespassing. Lorincz said she did not look outside to see who was beating on the door, but knew it was the victim because she recognized her voice. Little did she know she could have taken that 10-year-old. His life was there in as well. But almost as bad, he witnessed his mother. He will never be the same again. And so without looking out, she says she knows who it is, she shoots. She stated that she never went back outside after confronting the juveniles, and that she locked the doors when she went back inside. And she said that she was in the bathroom of the residence while the victim was banging on the door, but stated she fired the gun at the door from the kitchen. And she says that she has 2 Blink brand surveillance cameras inside her residence. One of the cameras is facing out onto the patio and is attached to the sliding glass door. The other camera is in the bedroom window facing the parking lot. And she says that the cameras are functional but only record more motion and at night sometimes, but do not capture motion. So that is where it's like, okay, you're not really, it's not working for you. This is just not working for her at all. And so now we wait to see what happens next in this turn of events. And, you know, all I want to see is justice. That's it. That's what I want to see. And so another mother, Sharna Moselle, she added that her kids would regularly play outside and had dubbed Lorincz a Karen. You know, that's what a lot of people refer to, you know, a Karen uptight lady. I don't really even know the meaning all the time, but someone who gets flies off the handle easily over the littlest things or something along those lines. But the neighbor, she said, my daughter would say, Mama, Karen called the police on us today, but the police never do anything because we're kids. We're just playing. Like, I don't understand. Like, what was her motive or what was the problem? And that's what, you know, when interviewed by police, one of Owens' son claimed that Lorincz had previously called them different words, you know, B's and Jack, you know, E's, you know, as well as saying this isn't the Underground Railroad, SLAVE. That is according to the kids. Again, two sides to every story. Now, Owens, she went over to Lorintz's home just to confront her over these allegations that she threw a rollerblade or roller skate wheel at one of her children earlier in the day and smashed the tablet before swinging an umbrella at them. She was going over there, so she probably was knocking hard, like, I want your attention, come out here. And so now we wait to see, but the arrest affidavit revealed that Lorincz had called 911 at 8:54 p.m. on June 2nd to complain that the children were trespassing, telling the officers that they were shouting outside the door. Minutes later, officers then received several other emergency calls advising that shots were heard in the area, with Lorincz calling again to say that a female tried to break down her door while yelling, and she shot her. So that tells me she knew the female. So why didn't she say that my neighbor? I don't know. I do not know. But this is not going to go well. And now we wait to see what happens next. But at the end of the day, this young mother of four deserves justice. She was taken from this world way too soon. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, stay safe, stay alert, be aware. You never know how soon you can piss off the wrong person, and it takes your life, right or wrong. This lady Susan is wrong, but I don't know how it could have been prevented. Who's not gonna protect their children? Who's not gonna fight for their children? Mama Bear, you got Mama Bear upset. What? She's just going to confront you. She's not going to hurt you. If you probably swing on her, she's probably going to. Why would you go so far to take a person's life? You hear these neighborhood war stories all the time, and this is probably going to be a future episode of Neighborhood Wars. I'm just speculating, but you hear about this all the time anymore, and it almost seems like it's more now than ever. My friends, thank you for joining me. I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, peace.